Chapter 21, Catching the Thief. Of course not. Li Lin shouted like an angry little kitten. It's not. Okay then, tomorrow, right? Where should we meet? Bei Chen stopped thinking about dating. If she said it was not a date, then it was not. Li Lin thought for a bit before replying, in front of Xingxuan Station, 10 a.m. Don't be late. Sure. Bei Chen did not give it much thought and nodded in reply. Li Lin did not say a word. She spun around and walked back to class. At the same time, she was thinking that she would make Bei Chen work hard to serve her to make up for all the anger she had been holding on to since childhood. Bei Chen smiled a little. Even though Mission 7 had not been completed today, it sure was going to be tomorrow, because tomorrow, Li Lin would really forgive him. Though this mission is not done today, I still have another one left. Catching the thief will earn me 15 points as well, he said to himself. From his calculations, he would still level up today anyhow. He stood there for a little while before following Li Lin back to class. Time passed until the school day was over. Bei Chen walked to the parking lot. He hurried to his bike, preparing to go back to the Sing Sing business district to catch the snatch thief in the area. But before he could speed off, Bei Chen found himself amid a circle of as many as 10 students. He looked at one of the guys and immediately recognized it as Ba Guan. Ba Guan had not shown up in class the whole day. No one had to tell him why. Bei Chen knew right away that it was because of the fight that broke out between them in the morning. What do you guys want? He got off his bicycle, parked it, and asked them. Ba Guan, Yong Gua, and the other 3 he'd beat up that morning displayed hostile facial expressions as soon as they heard Bei Chen's words. The faces of the 5 new guys remained quite normal since they had not gotten beat up that morning. However, unfriendliness still showed on their faces. The 5 new guys were also Ba Guan's men. The guy had 9 sidekicks in total, and all of them were present here and now. Darn it. You're still asking why? If father doesn't get to beat you to a pulp today, this father will not use the surname Ba anymore. Ba Guan seemed extremely angry. He spat that out with great contempt while waving his left hand to give the gang the green light. His right hand was splinted, which, of course, was the result of his snapped wrist that morning. If it were not Bei Chen, Ba Guan would have led the team himself. But this was different. He could sense Bei Chen's prowess, so he did not dare take things on by himself anymore. Yong Gua and 8 other students did not hesitate but rushed towards Bei Chen right away. Each of them sent their fists and elbows flying, some were leading with kicks. Too slow. Bei Chen saw them approach in slow motion. He was not at all agitated by this situation. 10? Hell, he could easily take down 20. Bei Chen retaliated with a punch, which landed directly on Yong Gua's face. The guy's face collapsed inward slightly, his nose broke, blood trailing out of it. Yong Gua's body flew backward and hit Ba Guan, who had been standing there. Ba Guan did not get a chance to duck out of the way. He was hit directly by Yong Gua's body and was knocked unconscious again as his head hit the ground violently. Luckily, there was no physical wound. Otherwise, he would definitely need lots of stitches. Before the others were aware of what had happened, Bei Chen sent them a series of machine gun punches. All of them were left in similar conditions to Yong Gua and Ba Gun. The 10 of them fell unconscious. After taking care of the whole gang, Bei Chen wiped his hands together to clean them while shaking his head. There were only 10 of you and you thought you could finish me off. Try again 50 years later. Of course, he thanked the life-changing system in his heart for giving him the low-grade martial arts technique. Otherwise, he would never have been able to take down Bhagwan's gang of 10 thugs. He then rode back to the Sing Sing business district. Because the distance was not that far, he arrived at the entrance of the business district not long after. As soon as he arrived, Bei Chen heard someone yell, "Help! A thief!" Bei Chen immediately pulled over. He scanned the area for the thief. The whole place was quite chaotic, with the crowd being agitated from the snatch theft incident. Move. As he was looking, Bei Chen saw a guy in a black helmet coming in his direction with great speed. He was holding a bag in his hand. It's you. This guy was most definitely the snatch thief, without a doubt. Bei Chen did not move to the side but stuck out his leg to block the man who was running at high speed. Thunk. Having bolted really fast without looking, the thief's legs hit Bei Chen's leg, causing him to lose balance. The guy slid onto the concrete ground. Luckily, he was wearing a helmet, otherwise, there would have been blood. Bei Chen did not wait for the man to get up but got off his bike hurriedly without caring if it would fall or not. He jumped and kicked the thief in the chin. The thief's head, along with the helmet, snapped upward violently. His body flew up into the air, he landed on his back and passed out. Ding! Mission complete. Mission 8, Catch the Snatch Thief in Sing Sing Business District, success. Reward, you have received 15 points and the opportunity to receive special skills or items at random. Ding! You have leveled up. Description, you completed the missions and successfully collected 100 points. Your level has gone up by 1. Bei Chen was elated and extremely excited at the sight of the 2 transparent white windows that popped up at the same time. He believed the system would reward him with newer and better things if he leveled up. He had, without a doubt, become a level 2 user. Chapter 22, Low-Grade Piano Skills. Bei Chen stared at the 2 transparent white windows for a while before closing them. At that same time, he saw a middle-aged woman rushing his way. She was rather plump. If he had to guess, Bei Chen assumed that this woman was definitely the owner of the stolen bag. Ah! My bag! The middle-aged woman exclaimed when she saw her handbag on the ground next to the unconscious thief. She rushed to pick up the bag nervously. Other people in the business district who had witnessed the whole incident slowly gathered. A middle-aged man in a shop uniform walked towards Bei Chen and smiled at him. "Chen boy, you did really well catching that thief." Bei Chen smiled faintly. He knew this middle-aged man well. He was none other than the fishmonger, whose shop was at the entrance of Sing Sing Business District. "It was nothing, Uncle Chang. That's what I'm supposed to do anyway. Thank you so much, boy. If it weren't for you, my bag would have been taken away by this thief." The middle-aged woman approached him to say thank you while pointing her finger at the unconscious robber. Bei Chen smiled in return. "No problem at all. Please hurry and call the police to lock him up. Now, if you would excuse me." "Understood. I truly do thank you." The middle-aged woman nodded before she took out her mobile phone to call the police to handle the still unconscious thief. After seeing her make a call, Bei Chen walked back to his bicycle and sped home, amid the admiring looks from the people in the business district. When he got back, the first thing he did was to greet his parents. Then, he went back to his room. Let's see if there are new things in the system. He smiled with anticipation, expecting that level 2 would give him access to new and better things in the life-changing system. Bei Chen quickly called the system window out to see. The life-changing system. User, Bei Chen. Age, 18 years old. Level, 2, 100. Description, you still need 100 points to level up. Instruction, if you wish to change your life to what you have always wanted, proceed with the following missions. Mission Dashboard. Mission 7, apologize to the resentful woman, 15 points. Mission 9, give a flower to your date tomorrow, 10 points. Further instruction, the order of mission completion is irrelevant. After you are done with the tasks assigned to you, you will be given a chance to receive special skills or items at random. The skills or items will give you a better life. You have one opportunity to get special skills or items at random. Bei Chen could not help but feel disappointed looking at the system window. Everything looked the same. However, his disappointment did not last long. He thought that even though there was nothing new in level 2, if he leveled up more, there would eventually be new features in the system for sure. Bei Chen stopped thinking about this and shifted his attention to Mission 9, which was new. He frowned a little as he read the title. Give a flower to your date tomorrow? He said to himself in confusion. Bei Chen did not know who his date was. He then clicked on Mission 9 to see more. Mission 9, give a flower to your date tomorrow. Instruction, tomorrow you have a date. You will have to give your date a flower to make her happy. Reward for success, win 10 points. Penalty for failure, your date is upset with you. Bei Chen came to a realization as soon as he went through the mission details. It was very likely that the date the system talked about was Li Lin. But he had not believed it to be a date, because Li Lin had told him so herself that it was not. So it really is a date. My first date. Bei Chen mumbled to himself. He felt excited about going on a date for the first time in his life. And this mission was really easy. He would only have to buy a flower and give it to Li Lin, then the mission would be complete. Bei Chen closed the mission window, then chose to use the randomization feature. Having witnessed the brilliance of them with his own eyes, Bei Chen wanted to obtain new skills or items. A roulette wheel appeared. Bei Chen did not hesitate. He pressed the middle of the roulette wheel right away. The roulette wheel spun rapidly before coming to a halt at the pocket. Special skills. Ding. Congratulations, you have received low-grade piano skills. Low-grade piano skills? Bei Chen stared at the pocket with surprise. He did not expect that he would get something like this. He felt excited nevertheless. Whatever special skills he got, he regarded them all as extraordinary. Bei Chen quickly checked the details of the low-grade piano skills. Low-grade piano skills. Description: these low-grade piano skills were invented by the best pianist in the world. They are truly remarkable musical skills. However, the skill set is not complete, making it of a low grade. Grades of special skills: low, medium, high, supreme. After reading through the description of the low-grade piano skills, knowledge of how to play the piano flooded Bei Chen's head. It was just like the time when he received the low-grade martial arts technique. He felt as if he had been a trained pianist for a very long time. The low-grade piano skills could make me a professional pianist if I desired to be one. Bei Chen smiled, thinking it would not be hard to become a professional pianist if he wanted to. Chapter 23, A White Rose. In the morning, Bei Chen left the house at 9 in a very normal-looking outfit. He wore a pair of gray jeans and a white t-shirt with English words printed on it. He also wore a gray jacket on top. Today was not a school day, so he did not have to show up there. He had helped his parents prepare the Chinese steamed bun shop for opening in the morning before he left the house. Bei Chen rode his bicycle to Xingxuan Station. The front of the station was not very far from Sing Sing Business District. The distance was barely half a kilometer, which was not tough at all to cycle. More than half an hour later, Bei Chen finally arrived at the front of Xingxuan Station. He parked his bike at the paid parking lot, which cost only about 2 yuan. Once he had parked, Bei Chen began looking for a florist's shop. The front of Xingxuan Station was quite crowded. Some people were there for work, some for leisure. After searching for a while, he found a florist's shop and immediately walked over. The shop was actually quite large with luxurious decor. It was so luxurious that Bei Chen did not dare enter. He only had 100 yuan with him today, so if the flower was too expensive, he would not have enough money left for anything else. Thus, he could only lounge around hesitantly, debating whether or not to enter. As he was caught up in his own indecisiveness, the door of the florist's shop opened. A girl, who looked about 10 years old or so, walked out with a basket of white flowers. The basket was filled with a bunch of white roses. Bei Chen looked at the 10-year-old girl, then his eyes widened in bewilderment. She was extremely cute. Her long black hair was tied in twin tail. She was wearing a white dress that looked very cute and suited her very well. Her pretty eyes were round and big. So adorable. Bei Chen could not help but say in his heart. If no one else was around, he would have rushed over to give this girl a hug. After exiting the shop, the cute little girl looked left and right before noticing Bei Chen, who was standing there with a dumb expression. She smiled at him and walked over. "Brother, are you here to buy flowers?" the girl asked, the lashes of her big eyes fluttering. Bei Chen looked down at the little girl before nodding hesitantly. "Yes. But I don't know if it's going to cost too much." Hee, don't worry, brother. The auntie of this shop is really nice. I buy from her all the time. The price starts at 5 yuan per flower, said the little girl with a smile. Are you buying one for your girlfriend? No, not for my girlfriend. Thank you so much for telling me this. When he heard that the price started from 5 yuan, Bei Chen immediately felt relieved. So, you're trying to court her? The girl seemed to sense something was going on. Bei Chen blinked and shook his head a little. No, I'm only buying one for my friend. The girl only looked at him without saying another word. It was then that she saw a Mercedes-Benz pulling over on the side of the street. I have to go. I hope you win her over. She uttered this as her last remark and ran past Bei Chen to get into the Mercedes-Benz. After that, the car departed. Bei Chen looked at the departing Mercedes-Benz and thought that the girl must be the daughter of a wealthy family. Her look, her clothes, and her car pointed towards that conclusion. Let's hurry up and buy a flower. When he realized that it was almost 10 a.m., Bei Chen ran into the florist's shop. The first word that he heard as soon as he pushed the door open was, "Welcome." Bei Chen turned to where the voice came from and saw a middle-aged woman in a floral apron. She was arranging flowers in a vase. The woman had a gentle face and appeared to be somewhere around 40 to 50 years old. "What kind of flowers are you looking for, young man?" The middle-aged woman looked up and asked him. She seemed to be a nice person who did not care if a guy with a 100 yuan outfit like Bei Chen stepped into her upscale and spacious shop. Bei Chen went quiet for a little while. He was thinking of buying a flower but did not know what kind. Suddenly, he thought of the flowers that were in the cute girl's basket earlier. "White roses, please. Can I just get one? I don't have much money," he told her, though it was quite embarrassing to admit. The middle-aged woman smiled. "Sure. One white rose it is." She then walked over to pick up a white rose and handed it to Bei Chen. "5 yuan, please." Bei Chen quickly grabbed 5 yuan and gave it to her as he spoke. "Thank you so much. You're just as kind as that little girl told me." "You mean The shop owner seemed a little bit surprised that the boy in front of her knew the happy little girl who was a frequent buyer at her shop. Bei Chen smiled shyly. "I don't know her name. She only talked to me for a bit." "I see." The middle-aged woman smiled. "If you want more flowers, make sure to come by." "Of course." He nodded in reply. Bei Chen took the white rose from her hand and exited the shop. Seeing the young man walking out, the middle-aged shop owner could not help but say, "Never thought that that girl would talk to strangers." After that, she shook her head with a smile, before resuming arranging flowers in the vase. Chapter 24, A Date. After leaving the shop, Bei Chen walked back to the front of the station. The area was still crowded. He was standing by a pole, waiting for Li Lin to arrive. It was almost 10 in the morning, but Li Lin was nowhere to be seen. Bei Chen had not thought much about this, though. He knew that girls tended to arrive later on a date than guys. When it was exactly 10 o'clock, Bei Chen saw a girl walking towards him. She was wearing a black dress with some white stripes on it. There was a little bit of makeup on her face, which made her look even cuter. She was also carrying a fabric tote bag with her. This girl was none other than Li Lin. Her shoulder-length hair fluttered slightly with the gentle breeze, making Bei Chen stare at her with wide eyes. He felt that Li Lin was even prettier than when she was at school. "Have you been waiting long?" That was the first question that Li Lin asked. She stopped in front of Bei Chen, amid passionate stares from all the men nearby. When they saw that she was meeting Bei Chen, their faces crumpled. All of them felt that he was completely out of her league, like a beautiful flower stuck in a pile of dung. Bei Chen did not know that he was being cursed at by men in front of Xingchuan Station. He snapped back to his normal state and smiled at her. "I've just arrived, too." "Oh. That's fine then," she said casually. Li Lin did not seem to care if he had arrived a long time ago or not. Then, she saw that he was holding a white rose in his hand. "Who is that for?" "For you, of course." Bei Chen smiled faintly and offered her the rose. "I hope you'll accept this." Li Lin's pretty round eyes showed a faint sign of happiness before it quickly disappeared. She let out a HMMPH before taking the flower. "Fine. I'll accept it then." Ding. Mission complete. Mission 9, give a flower to your date tomorrow, success. Reward, you have received 10 points. A sound rang in Bei Chen's head along with a mission accomplishment window popping up. He did not pay attention to it and quickly tapped to close it because right now, he was only focusing on the date with Li Lin. Bei Chen did not even check out the new mission. Where should we go? He asked. Of course, it has to be the Xingyuan department store. Have you forgotten that you have to be my servant today when I shop? Li Lin said in an adorable manner. Bei Chen nodded fervently. Right, right. Let's get going then. Li Lin nodded as well. She put the white rose in the tote bag she was carrying. Then, the two of them entered Xingchuan Station. The functionality of this place was quite clear, from what its name suggested. Xingchuan Station was the biggest underground station of Xingzhou City, and Xingyuan Department Store was the biggest shopping mall in the city, as well. The fact that the mall was located many kilometers away from the station meant they had to travel by tube. Having bought their tickets, Bei Chen and Li Lin entered the underground train, which was very crowded. Today was probably a day off for most people, so the train was packed. Don't come too close. Li Lin blushed as she said that. Bei Chen could only smile wryly. What can I do? It's so crowded in here. Li Lin had her back against the wall of the train, and Bei Chen was leaning against the wall with his two arms to support his body. The girl was locked in the middle. Their faces nearly touched. They were breathing on each other as well. Bei Chen's expression changed somewhat when he caught a whiff of Li Lin's scent. Don't you dare do weird things, or I'll never forgive you. Li Lin warned him in a shaky but stern voice. She feared that Bei Chen would take this opportunity to kiss her. Of course, Bei Chen was not that kind of guy. He quickly nodded. Don't worry. I won't kiss you. Good, she replied and turned her face to the side. Both of her cheeks flushed, making her appear very appealing. Barely 20 minutes later, Bei Chen and Li Lin got off the crowded tube. They did not waste time and made their way to Xingyuan Department Store. Xingyuan Department Store was a huge mall with all kinds of products and services, from home appliances and food to entertainment venues like a movie theater, a skating rink, and many more things. What are you going to buy? Bei Chen could not help but ask Li Lin. They were now inside the mall that was buzzing with people who were walking here and there to shop. She turned to look at him a little. I want clothes. Clothes. If my memory hasn't failed me, it should be on the second floor, said Bei Chen. The last time he was at Xingyuan Department Store was back when Wang Chengyi appeared at the Sing Sing Business District. Then, what are you loitering here for? Go. I know. But this is a date, right? It's not a date. Haven't I told you that? While going up an escalator to the second floor of the mall, Bei Chen could not help but ask Li Lin about the date. The result was that she appeared mad and had a flushed face, which was very cute to see. Bei Chen had never dreamt that he would have this sort of moment. Going on a date with Li Lin, a girl who was as cute as a doll, made him feel like he was falling in love with her. First love? Bei Chen said softly with a smile. He thought it would be very nice indeed to be in a relationship with Li Lin for real. Chapter 25, A Clothing Store. Bei Chen and Li Lin arrived at a clothing store on the second floor of Xingyuan Department Store. This store was for a premium fashion brand. The front of the store was beautifully and stylishly decorated. There were about 4 to 5 customers inside. All were dressed in expensive outfits, be they guys or girls. You're gonna shop for clothes here? Bei Chen could not help but ask Li Lin because this clothing store was very luxurious and probably very expensive too. Li Lin did not look at him but walked into the shop and said, "Yes. Follow me quickly." Bei Chen was helpless. He could only follow her into the store. The store was full of many styles of clothing, just how it was meant to be. Bei Chen snuck a glance at the price tag of one of the clothes and the color drained from his face because the price tag was for 2,000 yuan. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. His family earned 4,000 yuan at most. This merchandise cost half of his monthly household income. "What are you standing there for? Come here quickly." Li Lin turned to look at him a little when she noticed that he did not follow her. Bei Chen nodded. He decided to stop paying attention to the price tags here. He was not the one buying, Li Lin was. He knew her family's financial status. Buying clothes from this store must be nothing to her. Li Lin was shopping around for clothes. Her eyes were sneaking glances at Bei Chen. If she had to guess, he must have never been to a clothing store like this one before. "Bei Chen, you've never been to a store like this, right?" she asked. "Never." Bei Chen nodded. He did not plan on refuting that. "As you may already know, my family only owns a small Chinese steamed bun shop. How can I afford to shop at such an expensive place?" Li Lin did not utter another word. She continued to look around. She finally picked out 3 outfits and turned to Bei Chen. "I'll try these on. I need you to comment on which one suits me." "Sure." Bei Chen had no thoughts of refusing her. Li Lin was a very attractive girl. Seeing her in different outfits would make him very happy. Li Lin led Bei Chen to the fitting area of the shop. There were 4 fitting rooms in total and all had curtains in place of doors. She stepped into one of the empty rooms and pulled the curtain shut. Bei Chen just stood there, waiting for Li Lin to try on the clothes and step out for him to review them. He was not waiting for long. The curtain parted, revealing Li Lin in a different outfit. She was now wearing a white cotton dress that looked fashionable. Bei Chen stared at her with wide eyes. He found her even prettier than when she was in the outfit she was wearing before. "How's this one?" Li Lin turned in a circle and asked. Bei Chen calmed himself down and nodded with a smile. "This one suits you very well. You look really pretty in this dress." "Of course I do." Li Lin blushed when she heard his compliment. She shut the curtain once more. Her face was still red, and her heart was racing in her chest. "What's wrong with me?" she could not help but ask herself. She had been having strange feelings towards Bei Chen since yesterday, after he had apologized to her, to be precise. "Do I like this nasty guy?" This thought immediately flashed into her mind. Her big round eyes widened, and her breathing quickened. But she quickly shook her head. "Impossible. There's no way I would fancy that guy." Li Lin quickly tossed away that crazy idea and changed into the second outfit that she had picked. She did not realize that, previously, she had considered him the person she hated the most. When the hatred had started to fade, some other feelings resurfaced. It could be because she had been observing him for far too long, so it was not at all strange that she had started developing feelings for this boy. After trying on 2 more outfits, Li Lin decided to buy all 3 of them. She paid for the outfits and handed the paper bag with them into Bei Chen, her servant for the day. The boy took the paper bag willingly without saying any words of objection. After they left the clothing store, Li Lin asked, "Are you hungry?" "I'm not." "Are you?" Bei Chen replied, then put the question back to her. "Yeah." Li Lin nodded. She had not had anything to eat since morning. Bei Chen pondered things for a short while. He only had 95 yuan with him right now. He should be fine if he treated her to a meal. But, of course, what he could buy for her had to be something cheap. He could not afford something expensive. "Let's go get some food then." "There's a place on the first floor," said Bei Chen. "Sure." Li Lin nodded and went ahead of him. She made her way towards the escalator that led to the first floor. Bei Chen followed her with the bag of clothes in his hand. It was not heavy at all for him because they were only light clothes. Bei Chen and Li Lin soon arrived at an extravagant, expensive-looking restaurant. "You're gonna eat here?" Bei Chen was standing next to Li Lin in front of the restaurant. He could not help but ask her this. Li Lin nodded without much care. "Yeah, I'm gonna eat here." "Why? You don't like it?" "It's not that I don't like it, but I don't have much money. I can't buy you food here." "Let's go to a cheaper restaurant," Bei Chen explained. "You're going to buy me food?" Li Lin smiled faintly. This was quite unexpected. She'd thought that Bei Chen would expect her to treat him a meal since he knew she had a lot of money. But her thoughts and reality were very different, so it was natural that all of this was unforeseen.